Why modern life feels so empty? Ever felt like life is just slipping through your fingers? Like no matter how much you achieve, something deeper is missing. You're not alone. We're living in a time where meaning seems to be disappearing, where beauty, goodness, and purpose are treated as nothing more than personal preferences, fleeting, unstable, and ultimately meaningless. How did we get here? And more importantly, how do we get out? We're more connected than ever before, right? Social media, endless notifications, video calls at the touch of a button. But if we're so connected, why are we still so lonely? According to Byung-Chul, the problem isn't the lack of communication, it's the lack of rituals. Han says rituals are more than just traditions, they're the glue that holds communities together. They create moments of unity, grounding us in a shared sense of purpose. Without them, life starts to feel shallow, fragmented, and yes, lonely. Take a moment to think about this. When was the last time you truly connected with someone? Not through a screen, but in a way that felt deeply human. For Han, this disconnection stems from a dangerous modern obsession: individuality. We've been told to be unique, to focus on ourselves, to prioritize personal success above all else. And while that sounds empowering, Han warns that it's making us miserable. The pursuit of individuality has come at the cost of community. We've sacrificed shared rituals and collective experiences in favor of self-centered goals. And the result is a society full of isolated, overwhelmed individuals. Imagine a world where no one shares a meal, where festivals are just days off, and where even religious ceremonies feel optional. That's the world we're hurtling towards. And here's the irony. The more we focus on ourselves, the more we lose touch with who we really are. Han believes that rituals help us escape the prison of the ego. They force us to step outside of ourselves and participate in something bigger. Think about the power of shared experiences. Singing together at a concert, praying together in a mosque, or even performing simple acts like eating dinner as a family. These moments create a sense of unity that we desperately need. They anchor us in time, connecting us to something permanent in a world that feels constantly in flux. Without rituals, Han argues, we're left chasing meaning and failing to find it. Han also talks about our relationship with the time. In the past, time felt cyclical, tied to the rhythms of nature and community rituals. But modern time, it's chaotic, fragmented, and fleeting. Days blur into weeks, and before you know it, years are gone. We're rushing through life, yet we feel stuck, unable to truly live. Rituals, Han argues, could stabilize us. They give us moments to pause, reflect, and reconnect. But here's the catch. Young people today are rejecting these rituals. But why? To answer that, we need to turn to another philosopher, someone who understood the dangers of overthinking and isolation long before smartphones were a thing: Fyodor Dostoevsky. Dostoevsky's Notes from Underground introduces us to one of the most fascinating and relatable characters in literature, the underground man. He's bitter, lonely, and consumed by his own thoughts. Sound familiar? The underground man represents what happens when self-awareness goes too far. He's paralyzed by his own mind, overanalyzing every decision to the point where he's incapable of action. To be too conscious is an illness, he says. And isn't that exactly what many of us feel today? Think about it. How many opportunities have you missed because you were too busy overthinking? How many times have you stayed in your comfort zone because the idea of failing seemed unbearable? The underground man is a warning. When you let overthinking control you, you stop living. He spends his days fantasizing about revenge and grand achievements, but never acts on them. Why? Because he's convinced that his life is insignificant, that no action can truly matter. This belief traps him in a cycle of inaction and misery, a cycle that feels all too familiar in today's world. The underground man's loneliness isn't just a result of his circumstances, it's a reflection of his refusal to connect. He sees himself as intellectually superior, which only isolates him further. This mirrors what Han describes as the modern ego, an inflated sense of self that cuts us off from genuine relationships. And here's the heartbreaking truth. The more disconnected we become, the harder it is to find meaning. The underground man's life is a cautionary tale, showing us that without connection, without purpose, we're doomed to spiral into despair. So what do Byung-Chul Han and Fyodor Dostoevsky teach us about modern life? Two things. We need rituals. Rituals give us stability, connection, and meaning. Whether it's a religious practice, a family tradition, or even a simple weekly routine, these acts ground us in a world that feels increasingly chaotic. We need to act. Overthinking is the enemy of growth. The only way to break free from the paralysis of the mind is to take action, to connect, to create, to participate in life rather than just observe it. The emptiness of modern life isn't inevitable. We've lost our way, yes, but we can find it again. By embracing rituals and stepping out of our own heads, we can build a life that feels meaningful, connected, and whole. So here's your challenge. The next time you feel the pull of isolation, resist it. Instead, seek out connection. Join a group, start a ritual, or simply reach out to someone you care about. It won't solve everything, but it's a start, because at the end of the day, the search for meaning isn't something we can do alone. It's something we do together,